I think if there is any major thing that needs to be done, I make sure that everybody's aware, and then we can all go together collectively and then see how we can come out and tell everybody, because it's not enough as an individual without funding to get the information out there. Even for me personally, there are most times I have to like reach out to Oscar in Lagos, and I'll be like, okay, what is happening, and this is what's happening. So Oscar would need to, even if I spend my entire day on LinkedIn on the news going through it, it's not enough. So you need that person to
we need to talk, we need to talk, and we need to try and get ourselves into it. That's interesting. I really don't know much about anything outside Lagos, so that is interesting for me. So talking about these game studios in Nigeria, can you say we are heading towards a successful run of development, or are we just doing something about nothing? Because what I'm thinking is, we've got so many game studios developing games. Who's playing these games? Because if you develop the game, they need to be played so that you can. I don't know the game industry very well, but I'm thinking that you develop the game, more people play it, you can use in-house advertisements, in-house currencies, and then all the other things that happen with the other games. But if we're developing so many games and we're not publishing, we're not advertising them, we're not organizing events for people to engage with the games, how are you surviving? How are the game studios surviving?
So I think for me, in Nigeria generally, not just South or Southeast, even in Lagos, we have this building and not publishing game issue is a problem. That's because some of these game projects, they take a very long, should I say, a very long time, right, to build, and then that requires so much of assets, funding, and the like. So it takes a very long time, right, for people to build. That's like a major problem. There are like few studios who I can say they have like lots of titles that you can go there and you can play now, right? For most persons, because they're actually looking for funding, they're actually looking for support, they build like a prototype, it's not yet finished, and then they put it out there. So you would mostly see them in events when you want to, in video games events or events basically where you can play and test the games, and they are still yet to be completed, right? That is why we need them to like come up so that people can see them, and then they can get the necessary support they need to be able to finish their project, right? I found that that even in Enugu, to be precise, there were like more than 30 something game developers. Like I was like, hey, I was like, in
that's
one
serious.
Exactly. So even when I went back there, I was like, there are lots of persons that are actively building games. And then I found out that they were even working for one or two studios that are outside, right? So we need people to come build games and then finish their games, which would be a very good one for everybody.
King Louie, let's be honest and look at this in a different way.
Okay.
If there are 30 studios in Enugu, right?
30 developers, not studios.
Developers in Enugu.
Yes.
Would it not?
Most of them have like their own indie thing they run, like their indie.
It's
studios.
nice to do your own thing, right? It's nice to do your own thing, but can you imagine these 30 guys who have got? I mean, I'm using guys in general terms, but these 30 people who have got different skills, different abilities in one studio, yeah? Not 30 studios in one studio, giving their 110% in building one game, and let that game come out, right? And with Nigeria having the numbers and with all the supports that we're going to get this one African game to be the game that everybody plays, to be an esport. You see how Nations Cup is happening. Saudi Arabia is carving their space. You see, Africa needs to carve their space. We're not being invited to a table. We're giving little scraps to happen to feed on. But if we carve our own space, because the skill set is big, if they can produce their own indie games, I'm sure they can produce a very big game that we can play as esports. And I'm just asking you, as a person who's more knowledgeable in the game development, how do you engage them? What do you say to them when you know there are 30 individuals trying to perform the same task? For me, it looks like the upside down funnel. Too many of us at the bottom, too many of us at the bottom creating the same thing, the same little bushfires. We don't have a big one that will create the traction. You know, how do you advise them? Because if more people are just building platforms, they're building games, how are we going to move away?
I think I had this conversation with Edu Shola of Two Lock Studios, and then he kept saying it over time. We need collaboration, right? And then oftentimes even the likes of Oscar Michael would say over time that we need collaboration. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 studios come together, build one particular project would be very, very good, right? Because we have more hands coming together, more hands that are very, very good with what they do, coming together to build a project. It has been talked about over time. And then there are people who are really to collaborate, others are still there. Basically, I advocate for collaboration, right? Even this particular project which we are working on, it's not just people from Six Pass Studios. We have people from another studios we have like 2 or 3 of them like coming together to build
working with you.
Yes, work on this particular project. So it's something I encourage, and then it's been talked about almost everywhere. Let's come together, let's build one particular project, right? And then people are doing it. Hopefully we get to see one project which is a collaborative effort from everybody, and then we get to see that breakthrough from an African or Nigerian made game or studio.
Right. So if we are going to have an African esports tournament, what games would you recommend?
Oh, okay. So first off, if talking about combat, I'll recommend, for combat's sake, I'll recommend Jaja. Jaja is a game by Network Studios, which is based in Port Harcourt. Is a 1v1 kind of fighting game with very cool aesthetic. I would recommend Jaja. Jaja is like a Naruto Tekken kind of game. It's very cool. So for that, Jaja works perfectly well. I think.
So would you consider that to be a fighting game? Is Jaja a fighting game?
Yes, it's a fighting game. It's a fighting game. It's a very cool fighting game. Jaja for the fighting side, Jaja. Then Edu Shola also T-Lock Studios by Edu Shola. They have another game also still in the Tekken kind of fighting way. That's for the fighting. So these games can be, they are like much MK Tekken kind of. So these 2 games can work. Right, because the other games which I know, they are more of adventure, which would not work for esports. And we also have a title, Sabijara can work, but we have something we are also building that will work perfectly well for esports. That will also work. Who again?
Okay.
I can't really think about.
I know it comes. I'm just trying to find a list that I had.
Okay.
A list that I had. Kasala Studios had something.
Yes, Kasala Studios have something.
Kasala Studios has got something.
Hammer Games have something.
Yeah, Hammer Games has got something as well.
Hammer Games have something.
I am personally interested in that space of developing an African esports tournament. I'm not giving it up yet. I am still working with other people, and obviously now that you've mentioned your interest and in there, I am going to be contacting you. So I've got Afro Warriors Battle for Power, which is a mobile game. Throne of Gods is a mobile game. Kasala mobile, and Urban Fury and Hammer Games. Yeah, Hammer Games Warlords. Yeah. So those are the games that now that you've mentioned Jaja, we'll look to develop Jaja as well. But it will be great to partner with all you guys and develop one major African fighting game tournament in order for us to have our own kind, and build our own kind. So happy to work with you and all the guys in the industry. But keenly, we need to promote you guys. So in terms of talent, what have you seen in Port Harcourt area from the schools and the universities? What is the talent pool like?
Talent pool in terms of like esports or game development.
Game development, the creative industry outside Lagos, Port Harcourt, and all the other states.
Okay. It's been great so far. For Logic Dev Studios, I think most of them, when I met them, in fact, when I met the main developers in my team, and also in Logic Dev and then some other things, I met them in school, right when they were still in university. So we used to meet
Wow.
at a hub at a place in school where we talk about all of these things. So most persons that are actually actively building now came from that particular route, right? But the problem for now is going back there to see how we can source out for these guys. What we've been able to do so far in Port Harcourt, that I know, there is a monthly event that happens in Port Harcourt. It's called Esports 101. I think this should be the fourth one, Esports 104. It's titled Esports, but it's not just esports. It's both for video games development and also esports. So what we do with Esports 101, it's basically we have like buses that takes people from universities, River State University and Uniports, and then conveys them down to the venue where we talk about games, where we talk about esports, and then we talk about video games development. So it's a monthly thing, it's a monthly meet. So it has become a ritual currently. That's what we do. So for this month's edition that just passed, we had we saw developers there, people who are building. I think there are more of artists. I've seen more of artists, right? People who, because young people, they actually love to draw, right? So personally I've seen more of artists, 3D artists, 2D artists, animators. I actually got found a young animator too. So these are like products of what we've been doing and what has been happening in this space. For other regions, I can't really vouch.
No, but that's interesting, because I know I've heard of other people who are looking for talent, equal talent, because I know some guys in Ghana who are looking for graphic designers, they were looking for editors. We have been looking for editors, now we've got a video editor, but things like that. So what people need to do then is to go to EAN.io to discover all these guys. So all these guys you've mentioned from the universities, they are registered under EAN.io.
Yeah, they are being onboarded to onto EAN.io.
Oh, great. So that's where we're going to go from there to try and discover all these talents. I would like to promote EAN.io because it's important that we try to showcase all these talents from Nigeria.
Yeah, it's not just a Nigerian thing. And then I think from 2 weeks time, we are going to be reaching out to other studios from different regions, from Kenya, from anybody, just anybody, as long as you're in Africa. You just have to like sign up, and then we can
be part of it.
From them. Yeah,
that's interesting. How hopeful are you for Nigeria in the game development industry? How hopeful are you that we're going to have a unicorn?
Because I'm very hopeful. Because actually, at the point I was still doing the other things and video games development, right? I was still doing shuffling the both of them. So I think 2 years ago I had to like leave it completely. I was like, okay, fine, let me focus on this space. And so far, it's been awesome. The reality is, it is difficult. Is it difficult? It is difficult. It is hard, right? But yeah, there is a whole lot of things happening, and then we've seen growth, massive growth. The numbers are there, the results are there, the problems and the issues which we've been facing is also there, right? And also, I'm looking for a way to see how we can get not just people from this side to should I say Lagos Games Week, but see how we can also get them to other events or conferences that are happening out there. It's not just for people to be stuck in Nigeria, especially African Games Week, to see how we can get one or two studios down there to South Africa, to other, just basically let's go out there.
Yeah, showcase. I think Edishola did go to South Africa last year, didn't he?
Yeah, Edishola, Edishola was there. Oscar was there. 2 years ago, I think Dimension 11's Olamide was there. He was also there at I think Gamescom or so. So yeah, we need more of these people to go out there to showcase and then exhibit, show the world what they are building.
Well, it's important because we don't just want to build and keep it on the shelf. We want to build and actually play and engage with the games, which is quite important. Yeah. That's interesting. So what is if I should say, end of this year, December 2026, will we have a major African game trending as an esports game?
December, yes, definitely, definitely. Definitely. Yeah, we'll have one or more than one because personally, I know few persons that are building something along that line. It's just about one. What it might just be one post, might just be one, but definitely we are going to see
Out Africa.
an African game being out there, right? We are definitely going to see. December is a long time. It's still a short time though, but it's still a whole lot of time for something magical to happen.
Right. So how does the world, if I say the world, the networks in Nigeria, outside Nigeria, support what you do? Because you've mentioned four great projects that you do. Gameverse, the education, the conferences, the outreach programs. How do we help? How does the world help you? Six Part Studio. How do we help make Six Part Studio a success or provide them with um, any support that they need? How do we make Video Games Expo a success? To make sure everybody attends the event, to make sure, like you say, in Lagos, Kenyans, Ghanaians, Togolese, everybody comes to Video Games Expo in Nigeria. And then the Discovery platform, obviously, Eden. How do we make it successful? How do you want people to support the projects you do?
How? Okay. Basically, we really need it because a whole lot is going. And then, for me personally, I think the first 2 3 years, I used my personal money to run most of these things. Right? Yes, there are like supports from few people, few studios. Kudos to a whole lot of persons. I would always give a shout out to Edu Shola and Oscar Michael. There is no project which I would say for every single video games expo, Deluxe Studios and Africa Communicate, Oscar Michael, they make sure that they support whatever way. If it's to reach out to people for me, if it's to reach out to, basically they try as much as possible to see how we can get involved, how they can get involved, and then how we can like do, because a win for one is a win for all, right?
Absolutely.
And that's what we've been doing. Personally, I'm looking at for making partnerships with a whole lot of persons, because partnerships is key. If you can get like few foreign partnerships that can come in and be like, okay, fine, let's do this. Because the reality of things is there are also people in Lagos, but Lagos is not, Nigeria is not Lagos. Right, Nigeria is not just Lagos alone. There are lots of
everybody.
yeah, Lagos is Lagos, right? Lagos is more like the Silicon Valley
Yeah.
of Nigeria, or if I may say Africa or thereabout. But yeah, there are other
No, I'll
talents
say
elsewhere.
Accra.
Yeah, but yeah, there are other talents elsewhere. There are people building outside, and there we just need to make sure that everybody have that opportunity to be able to showcase and then contribute to the growth of the ecosystem.
That's interesting, and I mean I've heard Edu Shola's name in many circles, good circles, and I've heard Africa Comic Kid Michael's name in so many circles. We followed him a few times in Ghana as well. So it's good that you've got in the circle that I know of the great guys. They're also connected to you, and these are the great guys who are helping push the game development industry. And obviously, as I say, Esports Africa News will definitely be championing this. Now that I know about Eden, I mean, I'll be chasing you for some information, and obviously equally you can drop us, Anurika, you can drop her content every time you're doing something, and obviously she'll push it, because it's important that we push this narrative more, and then we can also be able to showcase Africa talent to the world. So we will definitely tap into your network to do that.
All right.
So for just trying to close out and trying to conclude this, I just want to ask about yourself. What does it mean to be a leader in the game and esports industry? Because you can't tell me you're not a leader, because I've read a lot about you. I've seen you a lot of times on LinkedIn. So what does it mean? What keeps you going?
I will not say passion. I will not say passion. Passion is there, But basically, I think I've done a whole lot of research about the industry. I decided to like focus or put in my 100 in, and it's been what has kept me going. It's been the support, basically, right? Because for one, when we started, basically, it was very very hard, right? But now everything comes easy. Not really easy, but compared to before,
Yeah,
there
compared to
is
before.
yeah, there is a whole lot of growth. And the more we keep growing, the more it becomes easy for us to do stuff. So currently, I don't think if I'm going to, if I want to host like video games expo events, I'm going to like stress out that much because there are studios that are already on ground. Okay, when are you going to host? There are people who are already asking, when are you going to drop dates? Right. So all of these things is like a contributor to whatever is it. There are sometimes I would just want to like spend my entire day sleeping, playing games and eating, and then I'll just receive a particular mail and be like, when is this happening? When is this happening? Oh, okay, fine. The community needs this, and then we just need to push.
Just jump on
Right.
it.
Then it's been all of these things collectively driving the vision basically.
Well, as they say, a leader is a leader, and then we will follow the leader because the leader directs us in everything that we do. Now, I appreciate your time. I know it's a bit late in Nigeria, and I appreciate your time for talking to us. But we're not leaving you. We're only just ending this recording, and then we will be talking more about everything that you do.